And hello and welcome back, everybody. Apologies for the longest of long waits. It's been a little bit, but hopefully we can get straight into the fun of Sunless Skies. Carrying directly on from Sunless Seas, we shall see what this new world has to offer us, and hopefully we won't go mad too quickly, or die to anything terrible. And hello, the Night Owl, Sergeant Nubbles, Hidden Boss. Yes, I kept you waiting. I'm sorry about that. Dual Wilder, good to see you as well. Goats, the Mayor of Socks, you as well. I think we will leave it as Zinthar the Sixth, as in he was the one who made it through the event, well, the Avid Horizon and emerged on the other side here. We will assume that he has continued his great adventures from there in the Untersea to here in the skies. As we quickly volumize here and start a new game. No, we'll try a legacy campaign, I believe. I'm going to have some gentle standard speed there. And we'll be thrifty on our supplies, I believe. We'll don't want to be too unforgiving just straight out of the bat, so we'll see how we go with that. Log of Her Majesty's Locomotive, the Orphean, March 14th, 1905. Our expeditions to the domain of the dead has been eventful. The Orphean is damaged and in grievous need of repairs and supplies. We are returning in haste to the Reach, where I hope to make port at New Winchester. May God be with us, for 1,000 deaths wait in the sky. Final entry of Captain Amelia Charity Whitlock, DCM, written shortly before her death. And thank you, Maze Hughes, for the subscription. The Founder's Badge. Let's see if I can remember how to pilot these things. March 15th, 1905. You have returned to the Reach as an untamed, sunless span of the heavens. London's new frontier, a celestial garden run wild. Your journey back from the Blue Kingdom was tumultuous. The locomotive is damaged, and Captain Whitlock is badly wounded. I think so. The engines aren't going to repair themselves, Dual Wielder. Children are small and able to crawl around the steam engines. First officer, the crew look to you. The nearest station is New Winchester. Can you get the Orphean to there safely? The wreck of the Ozymandias. The wreck hangs in the sky, pocked with recent gunfire. You and the boarding party don your sky suits, garments of waxed canvas lined with felt to protect against the cold of the sky. Two of the crew are whispering as they dress. What business did Captain Whitlock have in the Blue Kingdom anyway? Why the devil did we trespass on the districts of the dead? You silence him. Now's not the time. You jump. Your stomach lurches with vertigo as the stars blaze above you, and below, the air of the heavens is thin and torn by unpredictable winds. Then your boots hit the running board of the Ozymandias, and your leather-gloved hands fumble for a hold. One of your companions throws you a line, and you lash the two engines together. Only then do the rest of the boarding party follow. One of them forces open the exterior hatch, and you clamber inside. Thank you, Jewel Wilder, for the 5 bits. Itamu, thank you for the water break. Her interior is cold, unlit, and whistles with wind. Your party's lamps spread buttery light over the narrow panelled passages. You make your way towards the hold, stepping over bodies crumpled in the corridor. Unfortunately, your way is blocked. A bulkhead has been mangled inward by a well-aimed barrage. You cater length of pipe to use as a pry bar and set to work, or lead your party on a more precarious path. Clear the obstruction, and we succeed. Now, Itamu, we're out in the sky this time. There's no water this time. As you strain against the stubborn steel, you remember an event from a year ago. A boiler explosion had trapped an engineer under a tangle of plating and pipework. The captain was first on the scene, you were second. Together you managed to pry the wreckage upwards enough for you to crawl beneath it, while the captain braced the bar across her back. "By all means, take your time," she grunted as you dragged the engineer out. Back in the present, the twisted bulkhead yields. Your companions clear the exposed rubble away. The way is clear. You have reached the Ozymandias' hold, a ruin of smashed cargo and spilled supplies. Hopefully somewhere amidst the detritus, you can find parts to repair the Orphean and restock your stores. Conduct a thorough search. Your companions work quickly. The Ozymandias' hull has begun to creak. Your actions on board may have compromised its integrity. You find enough food and gear to restock your supplies, and enough spare parts to make necessary repairs to the Orphean. The food will need to be thoroughly thawed, of course, but you've eaten worse in the skies. "Oh ho!" cries one of your party, prying the lid off a long crate. It holds a cannon, still nestled in straw. Another crewman pulls a battered bird cage from a pile of ruined cargo. Within the cage, something winged and furred opens a sullen eye. You examine your finds. Oh, well, there you go. The Ozymandias emits a long, juddering creak. Your boarding party exchange nervous glances. From the chaos of its hold, you have retrieved repairs and supplies, and discovered some useful equipment. A gun that could be mounted on your locomotive, and an educated bat. Mounted the Jerusalem cannon on the Orphean. Her own weapons were damaged during your flight from the Blue Kingdom. That leaves you vulnerable. I now have one Cotterell and Hethersay's Jerusalem. And liberate the diffident bat and employ it as a scout. Oh, well, thank you, Maze Hughes. Except audiobooks don't occasionally look over at chat and talk back to you. Press on to the engine room. You might find more fuel there, but you had better hurry. The Ozymandias is beginning to tear apart. This is not without risk. Oh, what is life without a few risks? It's foolish for all of you to go. Send your quickest and lightest to retrieve the fuel while the rest of you return to the Orphean. I mean, the thing's called the Orphean. I'm pretty sure it's got at least 2 orphans aboard. Or go myself and conduct a hasty search. Send the rest of the boarding pack to the Orphean. Yes, I promise I'm not an AI playing a video game. At least not yet. Ah, well, nothing ventured, nothing game. I shall go and send the orphans. Ah, well, they died. That's unfortunate. No one is keen to go on alone. In the end, you have to rely on drawing lots. The two members of the party with the shortest straws pale and make their cautious way towards the engine room. The rest of you return to the Orpheum and await their return. And wait. And wait. Too late. With a dying groan, the Ozymandias buckles and splits in half. Hello, Tio. Good to see you again. Steve-O and Landian. Straight to number 7, dear Wilder. Why not? The two end spiraling in different directions into the sky. The two crew that were still aboard are lost. Solemnly, you stoke your engine, and steam away. Restocked, rearmed, but fewer. Ah, my scout has discovered something. What have they discovered? There is a place to the west. The walls of the captain cabins are lined with a hodgepodge of curios from across the sky. Captain Whitlock lies in bed. Black marks cover her skin like a monstrous brand. When she coughs, coils of acrid smoke pour from her lungs. Approach the bedside. The captain opens her eyes as you draw near. She attempts to smile. Her mouth is blistered from the blue fires that dance on her tongue. Her hand grips your arm. Her skin is hot as a kettle. Made arrangements. The Orpheum will be yours. Her voice is just a rasp of burned meat breath. But promise, she breaks off to scream a word in a language that was not made for human mouths. When she resumes speaking English, she is weaker, her request little more than a gasp. Promise me one last service. Promise. Demand to know why she took the Orpheum to the Blue Kingdom. She laughs, a sound like wood snapping on the fires. Ash sprays from her mouth. It was worth it, she swears. Her voice is suddenly firm, her eyes hard and bright. Then she sinks back into the scorched pillows and into twisting, frantic fever. Leave the cabin and the scorched stink of its air behind you and return to the bridge. New Winchester is further than you'd like, and the captain hasn't long left. Another one. We'll rate it for the remains. Let's disable that advice. I don't need it. Oops, overheated. Let's see. A rare find. Your crew returned in one piece and bearing the spoils of your victory. It was a right devil to remove, Captain, says the lead engineer. Hope you'll make good use of it. One reclaimed marauder mangonel. Excuse me. I forgot this one's quite zippy compared to some of the other engines you can get. And here we are at New Winchester. Coast into the bustle, the din and soot of the steam of Wolversey Station. It is clogged with other engines, scrappy mining locomotives and from Lustrum Way, weathered explorers gleaming with frost, sleek company vessels with bright brass fittings. No sooner have you pulled into the siding than a brusque station master bustles over. He requests to come aboard. I must speak with you, Captain, he insists, brandishing a ledger. The usual formalities. Look to the Orphean's doctor. He has just appeared at your shoulder. His face is solemn, his hat in his hands. He lowers his eyes. The crew exchange a bleak, wordless look. The Orphean itself feels suddenly more empty. You inform him that unfortunately Captain Whitlock has just passed. Ah, he says neutrally. Sorry to hear that. Very sad, very sad. He waits for what he considers an appropriate minute and a half before continuing. Alas, even amongst the tragedy, the cogs of bureaucracy must turn. If Captain Whitlock is deceased, the station authority requires their answer from the first officer. He dons a set of spectacles and locates his pen. It will be relatively painless. Name, background, purpose of visit, etc. Shall we begin? Well, I mean, clearly we were a Zayla. You rove the mournful, merciless waters of the undersea. You'll begin with high iron. We definitely had that. Well, Jewilda, the last thing that they wanted from us was to deliver a coffin to London. Oh, we definitely smuggled. Zinthar number 6 was a notorious smuggler. What ambition do we want? Wealth, fame, or the truth? Even the stars have secrets, but they won't keep them from you. A message from an old friend begins an unwise quest to learn a secret that the stars hide. What drives you? Curiosity? Justice? Insolence? Should I do a poll? Do we want to have a poll for this one? Or would we rather I just choose? You will immortalize your exploits in the song of the sky. For centuries, people have launched themselves into the unknown in the hope of making a name for themselves. You're sure you'll succeed. After all, you never heard of anyone who didn't. True. Comfortable retirement. By comfortable, you mean extravagant. True enough. Well, let's start with the truth. Questions. I want to know the truth. Appearance. Let's see. Zinthar number 6 did have tentacles the last time we saw him. Perhaps he managed to remove them, or perhaps he hid them under a decent hat. Let's see. Hair. Ah, yes, glasses, lovely. Do you have any nose that aren't comically oversized? That seems fine. Scruffy beard. Yeah, quite a nice beard. Yes, Azala's coat. It's pretty good. Madam, sir, citizen, captain, my lord, my lady, specialist, doctor, professor, officer, archivist, principal, administrator. Well, that's a great name. I didn't think I could find a pipe, unfortunately. No, but we can get a big wise old man beard. A nice clear back for our future tattoos. Intendant, nurse, comrade, brother, sister, reverend, madam. Well, I think we'll keep our captain for the moment. And Zinta B.I. What do we think about that, everyone? Seems good to me. Zinta the 6th. Onwards we go. So we start with 25 iron, 10 hearts, 10 mirrors, and 17 veils. That's what it is. Let's get to it. This morning, Captain Whitlock received a simple memorial service. Her body was consigned to the necropolis train bound for the Serene Mausoleum. Now you sit with a handful of her relatives and the threadbare offices of her solicitors. A methodical notary is reading the will. The captain was wealthy once, but squandered her capital on mysterious expenses before her expedition to the Blue Kingdom. The captain's relatives, from whom she was mostly estranged, are clearly wondering why you are here. In final codicil, the notary announces, Captain Whitlock confirmed that possession of the Orpheon was to pass to its first officer. He peers at you with dry, grey eyes. This includes a certain black box contained in the Orpheon's hold. Captain Whitlock's final request was that, at a time of your choosing, you transport said box to an address in London. He hands you an address card and deposits it there. You are not to look inside. She gave no explanation. And that's it. You're captain now. The Orpheon is yours. And we have gained the black box. Indeed. Oh, there are such sights to be seen in the sky. An old friend. Following your return to New Winchester, you are eager to meet up with an old friend. Following an earnest mariner. You and she served aboard the Pimpernel, sailing the dark undersea from Port Carnelian to Wither, from the Iron Republic to Vendemite. So, we met our ex again, clearly. Thank you very much, Inevitable Geometry. We shall summon all of the unwise waifus. In fact, we're getting started early. The two of you served under several captains before saving enough to seek captaincies of your own. You kept in touch, leaving messages for one another in twinkling ports scattered across the sea. meeting occasionally in London to share stories of narrow escapes. The sky was a new sea to her. When she arrived in the heavens, she immediately bought a locomotive and set out again. She is captain of the Azazel, and associates with a group of seasoned captains who gather at the Promise of Days here in New Winchester. Perhaps you can find her there. Ah, the Promise of Days. Well, we do need to hire on some more crew. So once again, we shall get out the crier's bell. Jobs for the young. We offer only the finest wages. In that we offer wages, sometimes. Hire some of the turncoats' crew as replacements. Your voyages have grown perilous of late. Numbers and morale are lower than they were. We shall see, T.O., we shall see. Promised a generous pension and a full pardon in exchange for selling secrets. His crew are at a loose end, and unclear under a cloud of suspicion. Will they ever find work again? We shall hire on some of the turncoats' crew as replacements. How much will that cost me? Oh, only 10 sovereigns. It's a bargain. Initially, the crew members are suspicious. They think they might be a journalist for the Gazette. Still, they're happy to drink on your coin, and as the night progresses, their reserve vanishes. When they arrive at your engine the next day to sign their papers, they come with headaches and nausea, and the last of their things. They go to their berths, ready to make for the stars again. Aha, very good. Well, let's explore Wolversea Station. What? Sorry, the blinking was annoying me. Dabbling in trade on the petal tree. Visit the Promise of Days in New Winchester to learn of a profitable trading prospect. A porter at the station advises you to visit the nearby pub, the Promise of Days, and talk to the seasoned captains there. They keep their ears to the ground, and they'll know about an opportunity or two. The incautious driver's pretty good. Old pistons gleam on the walls, and the shelves are crowded with mementos from across the sky. The clientele raise their voices to be heard above the comforting clamor of the adjacent engine yards. Four are gathered at their usual table, the masked citizen, a libertine polymath, and pioneer of the neo-nocturnal artistic school, the bedeviled didact, a scholar haunted by his discoveries, the plucky baroness, an explorer, collector, philatelist, and spatchcocker Meg, who hunts monsters. Of course, everything out there is jolly dangerous, says the baroness. Few risk the skies, so news of distant ports is valuable. Collect port reports from the places you visit, and deliver them to Victory Hall or the Company House. The more you turn in at once, the more they'll pay. Look for other opportunities on the way, advises the masked citizen. Passengers who want transport, rich men in need of bloody work, etc. You know she's one of their coterie, but where is she? Ah, she speaks of you often, the plucky baroness says. I'm afraid you've missed her. We've all been missing her recently. Busy girl. But she's doing important work in London. The bedeviled didact frowns darkly and fingers one of his amulets. We've been assisting in our own small ways, but, well, she'll want to explain herself. She left a letter for you. Meg pulls a crumpled envelope from one of the pockets of her patched coat. I'd opened it somewhere private, or someone, she glares at the masked citizen, will try to read over your shoulder. The masked citizen nods unapologetically. It's true, I'm a disgrace. At least he's honest. We'll steal everything that's not nailed down, and then we'll come back with pliers, toilet obliterator. We shall get everything the sky has to offer. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly click through these tutorial messages. There's very little that's important here, except that you can gain... what do you call them? Bargains and cheaperies and various quests from talking to people around. We'll go with this one, though. Nepotism. Meg laughs, a noise like a sneeze crossed with a ricochet. It ain't who you is, it's who you know isn't in it. Nepotism. She taps her broken nose. Quite, the masked citizen remarks. The wider your circles, the more advantageous the opportunities that will present themselves. A wise captain makes the most of them. Academe, bohemia, establishment, and villainy. They will unlock new, more rewarding bargains and prospects. Affiliations allow your next captain to inherit certain resources should the unthinkable happen. The host at Magdalene's needs an urgent delivery of seeds. Paying a pretty penny too. If I were you, I'd get to the bazaar straight away, put my mark against it. Broker in Port Avon is selling cheap seeds. Chirpy chap, God knows why. His face looked like it is, been pushed through a mangle. An opportunity. Port Avon lies to the southwest of New Winchester, and Magdalene lies to the northeast of New Winchester. Best to get going on. Ah, the Didac says, Numeral Talisman, an essential topic. Meg slides you a stool, shuffle around to make room. Ah, well. Bid you assorted variations of goodbye as you leave the smoke and the hubbub of the promise. Well, let's recruit the incautious driver. Good. We need seeds for Magdalene. Verdant seeds can be reliably purchased at Hybris or the Leadbeater and Stainrod Nature Reserve. Magdalene's The House of Small Comfort requires 3 gourds of Choriston nectar. Only respectable business persons need apply. Magdalene lies to the northeast. You can get that from Titania and Carillion, or collected from Chorister hives. Good. Let's check on our engine, because we had a... There we go, that's much better. Damage of 25, damage of 10. So that's pretty good, really. We'll need to make some money first. Victoria Market. Let's buy a goodly amount of this. Excuse me, Captain. A woman pushes through the crowds towards you. She is short and square-shouldered in a neat black suit and polished shoes. She shows you the case of her pocket watch. It is embossed with the crown and hourglass of London's horological office. The body responsible for ensuring time is consistent across the empire. I'm hoping to book a passage to Port Prosper, she says, slipping the watch away. I can, of course, pay. Pay sounds promising. I like money. Thank you. The locomotive I was on broke down and following a boiler rupture. The chief engineer's fault, I suspect. a gentleman fonder of brandy than of diligence. Here, an initial sum to seal our bargain. Prosper lies to the east of New Winchester. Not there is such a thing as north, south, east, or indeed west out here instead. London cartographers picked 4 of the brighter, more reliable stars visible from the Empress's new palace and named them north, east, south, and west. Londoners value familiarity. How is our engine? Seems to be good. So we need nectar and seeds. And at the moment we are currently riding in a Parseval class courser, I believe. And we can eventually get to the Moloch class liner, an infernal beast of brass and steam, furnished with indulgent luxury, with carpet thick enough to lose your toes in. A mighty machine indeed. Very good. I must say, the journal is much better in this one. Ah, perhaps, yes. It is a spatchcock reclaimed locomotive. So, our first jaunt out into the skies. Let's see what we can find. Scamp's Narrow. No, I've had quite enough of bats, thank you. The taste of smog, the sound of iron. We are home. Scout has nothing to report except the sky is vast and the winds bite. As you can see, we're a lot more conservative on fuel and supplies now. We can get a lot further on a lot less. But that doesn't mean we should get complacent, lest we be destroyed by our own hubris again. A distant nebula shines on this place, its light as mellow as melted butter. A new smell behind the coal and oil, the green unlikely scent of apples. Wilkinson Stead and the village green. Indeed, Stukka will be along momentarily, I'm sure. Oh, a cantanker eye. Port Avon. A ramshackle dock. Behold, a ruin of giants, gargantuan blocks jigsawed together, furred with the moss and whisperings with orchards. A bucolic village nestled amongst them. Smoke coils daintily from the chimneys. A leisurely game of cricket unfolds on the village green. A ramshackle dock juts into the sky behind a farmyard, scattered with rusty locomotive parts, plating, piping, a chugging motor with its innards exposed. An oily-faced, black-haired girl waves your locomotive into position. Welcome to Port Avon, she calls as you disembark. A rich knot of scents greets you. Leaves and wood smoke, enriched by an infrequent but pungent intrusion of goat. We now have 3 Port Avon welcome. We shall write a port report. To earn rewards, hand your port reports to the Indurate Veteran or the Prudent Secretary. They're normally found in Victory Hall and Company House docks near New Winchester. However, they can move as the War in the Reach progresses. Sacks of Verdant seized. We shall buy those. It does leave us quite poor, though. We'll refuel slightly. And we can buy a jumble of undistinguished souls, but I don't think we need those at the moment. Yeah, there's a repentant devil to recruit, but I don't think we can afford him just yet. Unfortunately, we don't have much in the way of interesting to talk to them about. Someone has grafted brass wheels to the carcass of an old armoire and impaled its tops with a jaunty damasked umbrella. Sweet wines, sour wines, subtle wines, and sinful, spirits of every vintage, save, of course, the Hesperian cider. He gives a small, sad laugh. I know, because I looked. This is the only place with real apples, but even here that cider eludes me. He beckons you with a glove's hand. A rare vintage, unheard of and unseen since London. This merits investigation. Closer, closer, come listen. Come here, come close and listen. You effervescent thing, I have a story. An associate of mine once gave me a sip of it, one golden drop to place under my tongue, and my life was changed. A carnivorous pleasure steeps in his voice as he speaks. I went back to the store immediately, of course, but the price was too much, and then eventually the dreams drained away, and now I'm here, serving wine to drunks. His laughter is black and bitter, but the auroral sommelier gives you the address nonetheless, just in case. If you decide to risk the same grief, savor it for me. We can go to the No Way Inn. Well, Sunless Skies has suns that are not sunless. I was thinking that perhaps, a game called The Sunless Desert would be fun. Yes, which you can wishlist now on Steam. I believe it was called Mask of the Rose. Yes. Speak to a short-sighted cryptozoologist. Tiny figure weighed down by 2 backpacks and a heavy duffel coat looks through thick glasses at her map and then up at you. Excuse me, I need passage. I don't suppose you could help me. I'm at the trail of unusual beasts. Can I pay you for your time? Where do you need to go? Traitor's-Wood, beams the short-sighted cryptozoologist. She leans inconspiratorially. As it turns out, they're to the wrong person. They say there are all sorts living in that place, and she turns to you. There's all sorts living in that place. Possibly even an ape-man. Won't it be fun to find out? Yeah, that's... sure. Could read a work of some speculative fiction. The Vacant Throne. Another silent century passed. Upon the throne the king's corpse withered and sagged, mold devouring the incarnadine robes. Then a sound. The doors opened. A woman entered, young, scarred, a sword in her hand. Behind her were more men, more swords. About time, thought the throne. The new Somerset Hunting Club has exclusive rights to the room above the pub, as well as its finest brandies. The cigar smoke curls through the air, filling this private chamber with premium-grade fog. Bloated gentlemen in well-worn military uniforms sit at mahogany tables, sipping port. They chunter of the old days and how very much better they were. Courage the Cowardly Dog was a very good show, that is for sure. Bathtub Barracuda best. It was a famous club in old London, home to not just nobles and distinguished soldiers, but ex-ministers, royal courtiers, and other members of high society. A stout veteran gives you a polite once-over. I suppose we could countenance an application. Of course, membership is not a matter of mere money. No, no. He directs your attention to the trophies. Most are old and musty. Neath creatures, deer, foxes, and a bear, all hunted in the Methers' now long distant youth. Perhaps you could help decorate our walls with some impressive local fauna. We can talk matters of first payment and then membership, of course. We would hunt the beasties ourselves, and we will, by thunder we will, but the fire is so warm, and there is port left in the bottle. Need to bring back a cantankery to the hunting club, a chorister trophy, and a scribe spinster trophy. All the terrors of the skies. Perhaps not. Well, I suppose we should be setting off then. Places to go, things to get. Oh, and we have a level up. You can take a new facet. You roved the mournful, merciless waters of the Untersea. You remember bats winging across the still black sea, the distant lights of London calling you home, salty prayers offered to heedless gods. It was a hard life, and often a short one, but you made your mark. What were you known for? Well, we smuggled, which gave us affiliation villainy, one fermented and one flickering. What did the winds of fate hold in store? Worse things happen at Z. The sea does not forgive. It did not forgive you. You came close that day to death. It left its mark. An interlude in red and gold. You lost your mind once. They put you in a splendid hotel managed by a cheery gentleman who would determine when you could leave. Or a scandal. You are the gossip of London's salons, the target of blistering editorials in the Gazette. Mad, they said. Bad, they said. Dangerous to know. Yeah, I think worse things happen at Z. That will give us 5 hearts, 3 mirrors, and 4 otherworldly artifacts. Or 5 hearts, 3 iron, and a moment of inspiration. Let's take... Demands a price from all who sail here. What did they demand from you? You were lost overboard, but the drownies bore you to their city beneath the waves to cavort and delight. After a year and a day, you awoke in the mud banks of London and wept. Or you returned from a voyage to find your home occupied by strangers. You knew their names and their faces, but the place they once held in your heart had been filled by the sea. Yes. I like the idea that we were lost overboard at some point and the drownies bore us to their city. Yeah, we should be able to find Port Prosper at some stage. Should not be too far away. I must be careful with our supplies, though. Found something. Lights in the distance. Stukka begins singing a ballad of the chimneys of New Winchester. Oh, some crap. The fastidious inspector approaches you in the galley. Captain, good day. I noticed your ship's clock had stopped. Perhaps you'd permit me to repair it. She has a little case of tools and a hopeful expression. Well, certainly. You prefer things to be right more than twice a day. She gives a grateful flicker of a smile and sets to work. Soon she has the back of the clock off and spread tiny cogs across the galley table. Obscure horological tools gleam brassily amongst them. Everything has a place. I appreciate the opportunity to keep myself busy. Staring too long at the stars is harmful to the temperament. Her hands are deft and sure. She polishes and she cleans. She reassembles. Thank you, she says, a small, embarrassed silence. It's possible to inspector is pleased. It's rather hard to tell. She sniffs. It is of fundamental importance that 10 o'clock on the 2nd of June is in one corner of the Empire occurs at the same time as 10 o'clock on the 2nd of June in the opposite corner. How is an empire to function if it can't agree on what day it is? Unfortunately, the process is complicated by the fact that time is less reliable than it was. The hours trade has seen to that. Malleable time indeed. See, in this world, it's hours that are the currency. Everybody wants hours. Extra time. Time to work and time to retire. People try to save their life savings to buy a number of hours for their retirement, not thinking that they have no money now, but all the time in the world, and nothing to do with it. The seat of the Empire lies in far-off Albion, where a man-made sun burns in the sky. Another sun blazed there once, before her renewed majesty conquered it. London sits in her coat of smog. Courtiers squabble at the foot of the throne of hours, hoping to receive endowments of years. Meanwhile, hard-working civil servants labor to ensure everything runs as it should. Was there a touch of archness there? All is normal. I miss her, though. There is no city like London in all the skies, and Albion is very different from the Reach. Much more civilized. Yes, civilized. It has an uncouth splendor, but I miss Albion, the steady light of the clockwork sun. These sunless reaches are so misty and quiet. She pauses, but critical. The territories here are rich with raw hours and enough vegetation to grow on them to feed the whole of London, even if some of it is dubious in shape. Oh, hours have more uses than that. We use them to increase the efficiency of work worlds, to speed journeys to distant regions, to resolve overcrowding in prisons. It does make my life more difficult when time knots and stretches like wool on the loom. More difficult, but more vital. Her Majesty seized a great trove of them when she assumed the throne of ours, and now even more have been found in the Reach. Miners dig them from the ground. She looks momentarily wistful. I hope someday to retire with a modest pension of years myself, to prolong the better part of my retirement. There was T.O., and I think it was a terrible movie. And it made no sense. Because they had a time clock that was built into their DNA, but they could trade time. And this billionaire guy gave someone 100 years worth of time or something. Yeah, it was very convoluted. I'm pretty sure I watched a video on it. We did this one. What happened to the Reach's sun? And London has a man-made sun. How did Her Majesty defeat the old one? We warred and we won. It's not my area of expertise, I'm afraid. The suns made the law, they say. Now Her Majesty makes it. As for the Reach's sun? She looks through the window at the lightless, staring mist. I don't know. Do suns grow old? Do they die of natural causes? I think that would probably be better than the alternative, wouldn't it? There are those who feel that London is a long way away, and that they do a better job of governing themselves. The frontier attracts independent spirits. We call them tacketies. For the hobnail boots, they are so practical out here. London, unsurprisingly, disagrees with the Windward Company, earnestly represents Her Majesty's interests in the region. Sometimes, very earnestly indeed, the tacketies call London's loyalists stovepipes, for our hats, I suppose. She avoids looking at you. And you, Captain, where do your sympathies lie? With London, with the tacketies? I don't really feel any loyalty to either side. Yes, getting intimacy with Queen Victoria. Convoluted sci-fi movies. If I have to pick, I'd go with London, but at the moment I feel no loyalty to either side. What a remarkable indulgence, she remarks with a raised eyebrow. Not yet. Depends on who pays me better. Well, bid her good evening. She has work to do. And to you, Captain. I think I shall make a cup of tea. What a splendid idea. The UCE Riddlebird. The corner of the sky is little travelled and has been given over to the fungus and the wilds and the lost. Is that? No, slightly different from the one I crashed into. Whoop! This thing turns a little funky. here. Spatchcock reclaimed locomotive, 10 of 10 crew, 1 times 4, 3. The more you carry, the faster your engines consume fuel. We need nectar for Magdalens and seeds for Magdalen. How many do they need? 3 more. We have 3. Good. Yes, they're not known for their maneuverability at all. New Winchester. Marauders prowl these glades. Let's see. Port Avon lies to the southwest of New Winchester, lies to the northeast of New Winchester. Something over there. Ah, the Memorial of the Unknown Rat. So we'll head south and see if we can find Port Prosper to drop off our friend, the horologist. Oh geez, 2 of them together. Oh, this is tense. Ah, damn, didn't get out of the way in time. Well, we defeated Marauder. The crew of the Marauder lie dead in the corridor, killed not by your guns, but by knives and small arms fire. The only survivor is the captain, locked in the brig with a bottle of brandy. Chalk eyes stare back from every wall. When he ran out of chalk, he began scraping them with his fingernails. Little remains of them bloodied stumps. "Seen this before, Captain," says a crew member, grasping your eye. "Sky madness. Magdalene can treat it if you can be bothered to take the poor sod." "Oh, bring the poor sod on board, I guess." We shall repair our engine. Good. Ah. Got him that time, though. Ah, a solid crate, stamped and carefully sealed. It is as heavy as a dead man's weight. 1 barrel of unseasoned hours. We still need to head south to Port Prosper. Indeed, he doesn't feel anything now. Well, the hours have many uses. Mainly we sell them, but we can also use them to travel to other regions. The Howard's Nightmare. Hmm. 34% chance. Oop, failure. You did gain some sovereigns, though. As you clamber through the hole, your lamps reveal uncanny marks around it. Were they caused by ricocheting shrapnel or by vast teeth? Your boarding party's search is unsurprisingly hurried. They retrieve only a handful of valuables before the hull groans, encourage them to return to your vessel. Not all of them make it. The wreck buckles with a shriek that might have issued from the throat of hell and spins apart. Oh, so in the world, they use them as literal hours. They're used to extend your life. They're used to lower sentences. They're actual hours. You can use them to retire. If you get enough of them, you could live for years past your original lifespan. Use them to turn time back or accelerate it forward. Unrefined hours. Time itself in a solid form. Well, she pays the best for the hours. In theory, she could live forever. Like this big rock here. That'd contain some hours. Ah, we found Palmier and plenty. Ooh, Charleston nectar. Shame I can't afford it. How much are the tickets? We'll write a port report since we're here. No one in the meager audience displays any enthusiasm, not even when the ringmaster thunders in on a horse-drawn calliope. Then comes the acts themselves. Oh dear. The humiliated magician's trapdoors fail to open, leaving his glamorous assistant notably unvanished. The bereaved acrobat swings from a single trapeze, the other hangs lonely and unused. The pensive clown's fire-juggling act ends in disaster, and not the humorous kind. The less said about the lion tamer, the better. He should recover. Indeed. The Undying Queen. At first glance, the circus is in poor shape. A second glance reveals how much worse things are than that. You tried the battered mushrooms, and realize why they have yet to take off as a beloved snack. Attempting to dispose of the bag, you duck behind a stall and find a pile of them already waiting. Another visitor pokes their head around. "Is this where the bags go?" she asks and deposits her own with the rest. Well. A pair of clowns whose painted-on smiles do not match their actual scowls spot you almost immediately. There is nothing funny about the heavy sticks they carry. You are less than politely escorted back to the big top. Perhaps if you are better known around here, they would be less concerned. Perhaps not. We can buy a little bit of supplies. We do need them. Leaves us with only 8 sovereigns to our name. Well, further southwards, I guess we go. Beans, mushrooms, fungus, various other things. Oh, this appears to be a dead end. Corkery Cove. As we travel through this dark and murky place, who knows what horrors await down here. Hopefully just more sky-maddened explorers. Nothing too terrifying. I believe everything's been more or less explored before. There's nothing new to name. Oof. A London dreadnought fighting off 2 maddened explorers or reach marauders. I'm only too happy to help, sir. We'll loot the hold. Oh, a clasped jewelry box. Yeah, I think you can only name the locomotives dual wielder. 25 sovereigns. I'll take it. Unusual items, I believe. The Marauders rarely democratic. The captain rules by strength and claims the best for their own keep. The cabin door did not survive the onset of your guns, nor did the captain. You have to tread carefully. The carpet will not be saved. A few scorched documents sit on the bronzewood desk. They make for interesting reading. Apparently London had need of a few brave captains willing to bring fire to the Tacites. You would not have expected the signatories of the orders. Hmm, 26% chance. We will mourn the dead. It is proper. Oh god. That's bad. That is very bad. Oh, that's not fun. We do not have the firepower to deal with the... Oh, that hurts. Alright, we're gone. Best not to ask. I don't think I can outrun it. I've entered the Trader's Wood. I knew I should have just made for Magdalene's. Too early. The wreck of the Parsifal. A once proud engine drifts here, riven by destructive growth of fungus. The engine drifts unhappily through the sky. Its hull has been split by the eruption of corpse-white fungus from inside. The name Parsifal can be made out on the brass letters on its side. The first engine through the avid horizon, a navigator whispers. London's pride. She was captained by Lieutenant Commander Percy Blythe, and her mission was to chart new horizons beyond Albion, but she never came back. What happened to the first engine in the high wilderness? Its doors are sealed, its lights dim. It drifts in the currents, mangled by fungal extrusions. Bolt cutters and pry bars are required to break the outer door. Its locking mechanism is antiquated and slickened with an oily substance. You wrench the doors open and are immediately greeted with a cloud of yellowing spores. Your vision blurs, just as your navigator torches them, igniting the air with burning fungus. A few gas lights flicker on the walls. The scratchy sound of a gramophone can be heard. Still more majestic shalt thou rise, more dreadful from each foreign stroke, as the loud blast that tears the skies serves but to root thy native oak. Spores drift through the broken carriages like dying fireflies. Recruitment posters bearing Her Renewed Majesty's face moulder on the walls. Music, scratchy but distinct, echoes through the empty carriages. A great wall of pulsing fungus separates the back of the engine from the front. Shivering spasms of festering fungus separate the front of the train from the rest. The only way forward is through. You organize your hardiest stokers into a rota, slowly but steadily, widening the gap between the pallid balls of quivering fungal flesh. The smell is direful, as are the ominous bulges protruding from the mushroom's bulk. Yes, I certainly hope they have some scuttling charges, because I don't like this thing, and I'm beginning to think this was a mistake. Thanks to your capable direction, however, a wide path is cleared straight through the fungus, bisecting it like two lungs separated by the trachea. You pass through unharmed. Some talk of Alexander, and some of Hercules, of Hector and Lysander, and such great names as these. But of all the world's greatest hero, there's none that can compare with the tow, row, 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 row to the British Grenadiers. You need to send them in with the explosive bean cans, indeed. Explore the crew cabins. The sound of the gramophones are louder here. Battered metal and tormented wood paneling comprise the confines in which the crew dwelled. Chubby toadstools, round as pastries, dot the cramped bunk beds. Mementos of homes are scattered about the fruiting debris. Slim volumes of Arnold and Blake, vials of honey, and engravings of simple domestic scenes can be found under every bunk. You also uncover a little tally chart on a folded-up bit of paper. It seems the crew were organizing a whip round for their commander's retirement present. They'd settled on a plot of land on Port Prosper. When Britain first at heaven's command arose from out the azure main, this was the charter of the land, and guardian angels sang this strain. Oof. You go alone, your crew disappear behind you, lost in a haze of orange and gold. Above, sacks of sporing fungus encrusted to the metalwork begin to erupt. Showers of spores and viscous liquids render the terrain still more hazardous. You feel a peculiar sensation. Your hands tingle as though wishing to reach out to touch the fungus. As though for one more drink, you increase your speed. There is a cry behind you. You turn to see one of your crew. A particularly distractible signaler has entered the miasma after you. Her hands are in the mound of virulent gold fungus. Then, so is the rest of her. The scene is lost to another shower of spores. You press on towards the engine room. The thick steel door is scored with bullet holes and is held in place by the tendrils of ropey white fungus. As you approach, you notice the damage done to the walls, riddled with bullets, old stains on the carpet. An attack was mounted on the engine room. You can hear music loud and clear from inside. An eerie green light pours through the hinges like floodwater. You push open the door. The engine room is cold as a sunless sky. Your breath hangs in long chains before you. The boiler is off. The infernal gramophone sits atop the boiler. The music is no better for it being closer to it. Before you lies the dance macabre of fungus and corpse. Hand in front on the wall, suspended by fungus, is a body in a captain's uniform. The corpse of the finest offerer's generation hangs from the wall, suspended by loops of pale fronds. His skin is sallow, and strands of golden fungus crawl beneath it. His eyes open. Percy Blythe looks down on you. Blue fruiting mushrooms speckle in his beard. Next to him, the gramophone crackles out dreary anthems of years past. His mouth opens too wide as he speaks. His jaw cracks. Lieutenant Commander Percy Blythe lives. Still more majestic shalt thou rise, more dreadful from each foreign stroke, as the loud blast that tears the skies serves but to root thy native oak. Suspended from chains of fungus, Percy Blythe begins to stir. Improbably alive, he fixes his gold-flecked eyes on you, and his mouth begins to move as though wanting to speak. He groans. His mouth opens impossibly wide, and a cloud of yellow spores emerge. I am all that is left. An oily liquid begins to drip from his left eye. I am a child of the grave garden. The voice alters, becoming more clipped and more static, like that of voices on the gramophone. I am Lieutenant Commander Percy Blythe, Captain of the Parsifal. My task was to explore the wilderness and return home with new discovery. He groans as though weeping. I am all that remains. I want to go home. Some talk of Alexander, and some of Hercules, of Hector and Lysander, and such great names as these. But of all the world's greatest hero, there's none that can compare with the tow row 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 to the British Grenadiers. How did the Parsifal end up in this condition? We met the children on Hybris. We sought to know each other, wanted to go to the wood, wanted to see what was kept from us. Percy is drooling as he speaks. The gramophone clicks as yet another patriotic dirge begins to play. Percy Blythe struggles in his bonds, pulling himself to stand a little straighter. We made contact on Hybris. The fungus was so bright, so beautiful. His eyes shine gold. I brought it aboard, Captain. God forgive me, I wanted the crew to see, to know. Oil leaks from those hollow eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Some came willing, others refused to join us. We had to. He breaks off into silence, staring away at the middle distance. Here's a health unto her majesty, with a fa-la-la-la-la, confusion to her enemies. What happened to him? How can he be alive? Percy launches into a long, meandering, slurred story of children and gardens, of a cruel king who needed but did not love his subjects, despite their love for him, of knowledge denied and growth checked, of tyranny and freedom, of grief and betrayal and longing. The music bursts into summoned life as Percy jerks and fixes you with an infected eye. I was stupid. I thought we would be welcome here. And we were welcomed, we were loved. The children, the verdants, they wanted us. He begins to sob. It is sad, squelching sound. Something of the man remains. You approach gingerly, fishing for a handkerchief in your pocket. Reaching up, you begin to dab at the oily tears that scour the lieutenant commander's face. Beneath the grime, you can see Percy's flesh is remarkably well preserved, save for the vibrant tendrils of golden fungus running beneath his skin. Thank you, he whispers. To sing with heart and voice, God save the Queen. Lieutenant Commander Percy Blythe lets out a low moan, and slumps forward. The chains of fungus adjust to accommodate his despair. Home, he slurs like a drunk man demanding another drink. On Hybris, Mother spored us there. We set our children across the stars to learn. The traitors would. We were forbidden from entering there. But now its king is dead. But this craft failed before we could arrive. The body jerks as though shocked. Percy's face rises to face you. London, he rasps. London. Yep. Can the Parsifal still fly? No. Lieutenant Commander hisses, his eyes rolling in his head. Sabotage, mutiny, ignorance, no fuel, the children too greedy, spread too fast, like fire. The engine is broken, the crew all gone. I'm alone. His head lolls through his neck were broken. This will bring the story of the Parsifal to a conclusion. Lieutenant Commander Percy Blythe, decorated hero of London's forces, first captain through the avid horizon, gazes at you, slack-jawed and unseeing. Please, he rasps, take me home or finish this, he twitches. We wanted to know what kept us from the traitors' woods. Why did our king not love his children? That's interesting. Burn it all down. Take him to Hybris. Take him to London. Take him to the Traitor's Wood. The Traitor's Wood. True. I mean, we only have 3 fuel and 3 supplies, but... we don't know where the Trader's Wood is yet, but it should be off to the east, I believe. Or west. Probably west. We'll take him to the Trader's Wood. The remnants of Percy Blythe does not appear to register your response. His head bows with the tilting of the locomotive. You've been cutting the body down. It is a task only made more difficult by the discovery that most of the far wall is in fact a rubbery sort of mushroom whose weak yellow flesh is entirely embedded in Blythe's back. You are forced to cut down a whole section of the wall, exposing the metal shell of the Parsifal, and carry Blythe out upon it. On board, your engine, he mutters and twitches, as though diminished by the separation. You leave the Parsifal drifting alone in the sky. Ooh, that hurt. We'll just gain some random treasures. Yeah, we got an uncanny specimen. Oh, thank you for gifting a sub, Toilet Obliterator. And welcome, Bulwark Steelfist. Enjoy your short shorts. Or underpants, rather. Let's see here. What did the winds of fate hold in store? A lost love, scarred. Smoggy street. You spent much of your youth in the hard end of London, where the gas lamps are scarce, the prospects bleak, and the people flinty as the cobbles. We have indeed lost a few loves. What are the other options? August Avenue, spent your youth in stuffing sitting rooms, chandelier parlours. Hush, and you can still hear the delicate sound of silver spoons on... No. Lieutenant Shade. Welcome. Thank you again, Toilet Obliterator. Quite a few lost loves. Let's see here. Love, the gradual erosion of that which separates you from someone else. The fitting together of two lives, as intricate and intimately as the threads in a tapestry, or the cells in your skin. And when one of those lives end, what remains of the other? You loved, you lost. How badly does it hurt now? Like a gnawing ache, a hole in the heart. You feel always that something is missing in the middle of other things. You will look up and around and remember that they will never be there. Indeed, and how many of them do you think have their own locomotive now, dual wielder? There's more than one vengeful orphan, and more than one vengeful zinthling, that's for sure. Let's just be thankful that we didn't make any clay babies. At least not that I'm aware of. No, we didn't marry any of them, Toilet Obliterator. Marriage is a Mormon thing. We do other things. Date them, for example. Like a fresh wound, as red as now as it was then. Sometimes the grief is raw, ravishing, a wolf howl in midwinter's night. Out of the time it sullenly slinks, waiting for a reason, any reason, to lift its head and howl again. I think we're going to go with the gnawing ache, a hole in the heart. There we go. We have 20 hearts, 25 iron. Doing a good amount of damage would be a good thing. Something to the south. Now, terror is not terrible. Our fuel is fuel. We have some supplies, but we are running out. Now, as it ever was. Chorister bees. Don't particularly want to get into them. We certainly are. A bed of eels wriggles through the sky. Well, looks like we're going north. We're too low on supplies to continue anymore. But we did explore all the way south. Have to turn in our port reports and hope for the best. Heckinsmere. Is there a port nearby? No, that looks like it's overgrown. Ah yes, no thank you, gentlemen. I'm afraid I really must be on my way. I'll grab some of that hull, though. Didn't really want to go this way. Oh yes, I had conveniently forgotten about the tentacle thing. Thank you for reminding me, dual wielder. That could have been bad. I had to be forced through this tiny little passageway here. We'll just have to bypass you, I'm afraid, Port Avon. I don't have the time for it. Or the fuel, or the supplies. Well, we'll take the trophy at least. The grim foreboding, what has become of you? What do we have in our hold? Well, we have some hours to sell. We need those verdant seeds. They're probably up here somewhere. We do have a few quests we can do. Oh, drat. We made a tactical error. It's late and you're alone. Doubts prey on you. Is this the path you should have taken? You trespass upon the precincts of heaven. What price will be exacted of you? What price have you already paid? Well, let's hope we can... Nope, failure. 5 terror and 1 tale of terror. I think I have enough seeds for Magdalene's, but I need more. I need nectar. Ooh. Well, thankfully I had a 0 life. Oh, a scrub clerk begs a moment of your time. I represent Halliges, the banking house. I promise will take only a moment of your unquestionably valuable time. He produced a folded contract with a flourish. We hear promising things about you, Captain, very promising indeed. We would like to extend our services. We provide a secure solution for the storage of your assets, absolute discretion and steadfastness unto death and beyond. We require only a signature. Very well. There, it is done. I'm certain that this represents the beginning of a long and warm relationship between ourselves and your lineage. May it endure. I bid you good day, Captain. And that gives us a bank. Nope, I break. Thank you, Atamu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. How many sovereigns do we actually have left? Not many. I need a savage secret. Need 2 savage secrets. Privately examine the letter. The earnest mariner's handwriting, never neat, is clearly hurried. There are several unfinished trains of thought, angrily struck through. She writes coyly of having embarked on a journey of the most fundamental discovery, of having uncovered celestial secrets. She says she wants to discuss her progress with you, but does not say where or when. The envelope also contains a collection of unfinished crosswords cut from newspapers. Yes, I'm sorry about that. Stukka said he'd be on after work, but he doesn't appear to have eventuated. Which I think is quite unfortunate, but there's always next time, as it stands. So, we need some savage secrets for that. We can explore this. How goes the Winchester War? A slow-burning war for the Reach forms the backdrop to daily life in New Winchester. Citizens wishing to keep up with developments in the war turn to the New Gazette. It is famously the only newspaper worth reading in New Winchester, as well as the only paper that hasn't bankrupted itself. Its quality speaks for itself. The Assembly runs New Winchester from Victory Hall and seeks to strengthen its hand in the Reach. London's proxy, the Windward Company, however, maintain a considerable presence in the Reach. Although New Winchester is still neutral ground, tensions are mounting within and without the port. Anybody saying anything interesting about me? Your name does not appear in any of the tackety-focused reporting on the war. Apparently, you're not considered worthy of comment. There is no mention of you among the stories of the stovepipes, reefs, and fortunes. You are not of interest to them. Indeed. Thank you, Itamu. Phew, that'd bankrupt me. I only have 30 sovereigns left. And I think I need to spend them on some more supplies, I believe. And they cost 40 here, and I can't afford it. Neat. I'm going to have to go and trade in that port report. Well, we will try selling the hours after I do this, then. Whoever is closest. That's who my loyalties lie with at the moment. "200 sovereigns. That's much better. Could trade some favor, chat with the Indurate. Perhaps not. At the moment, I only went with you because you have money. And no, Winchester doesn't take the pork reports. Only Victory Hall and the Windward Company take pork reports. So we traded them to Victory Hall for 200 sovereigns, which will be more than enough to repair our locomotive, restock us a little bit. And pick up some fresh orphans as well. But I think, ladies and gentlemen, that that's going to be a good stopping point for today, considering it is quite late for me, and we've been going for a little bit. And I think it was a good start all round, really. We found exactly 2 places, being Polmier and Plenty's Circus. We've discovered 1 crew member. And we are getting ready now that we can embark onwards to Magdalene's and some other things. You can see we did explore a fair bit. Not nearly as much as I would have liked to, but we will definitely get back to this next time. And we will adventure through the skies some more and unlock some more interesting lore. Alright. Everybody have a wonderful day, or night as it would be, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.